Good morning. Our patient this morning is a 25-year-old man, pretty fit, coming in with concerns of a little bit of stubborn fat in the flank area, small amount of fat here, and then gynecomastia. Gynecomastia is a more feminine-looking breast on a male. The breast is a bit conical. It's got a stronger fold. Sometimes we can see this in patients who are carrying a little bit more weight. We can see this in patients who have been using THC, and anabolic steroids in patients who are taking anabolic steroids can cause this. Our original plan is to perform liposuction because I'm not feeling a very developed breast bud. In some men, you can actually feel a relatively developed breast bud. Sometimes that can respond to liposuction, but in other cases, we do need to make a small incision around the areola and remove some of that glandular tissue. Usually when we're performing these cases, we're preparing the patient for the possibility of making a small incision and excising a small amount of that gland. We don't want to take out the whole gland, we want to leave enough so that you don't get a depression of that areola. But in this case, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to get him where he needs to be with just liposuction alone, and that's going to save him that incision. Let's take a look. Let's start with liposuction. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to get you where we need to go with the liposuction. Okay. So don't go into this having doubts and then wondering like, oh my God, I told him we should have probably done the incision. Yeah. We should be able to get you very far because you really don't have a developed breast bud. Okay.
It won't come back though, right?
Well, I mean, it can come back because, remember, if it's breast bud, that can come back being responsive to hormones. Okay. So if patients, and this is not you, if patients do the same things, if they are gaining a lot of weight, because sometimes weight can increase the amount of estrogen in the system. If they're using marijuana or THC or anabolic steroids, it can actually make breast bud come back. As far as what you've got, if you gain a lot of weight, you will gain some weight there. That being said, you said this is something you've had for many years.
Yeah, I've had it since I was little. Yeah.
And I think what you'll find is even if you gain weight in the future, you're not going to get the same type of appearance. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's just like anything that we do with liposuction. If people gain weight, yes, the fat can come back in those same areas. But a lot of times you see it.
The first 2 days are probably the worst, right?
The first 2 days are usually the worst.
Yeah.
You know, that being said, the self-saver really helps decrease patients' symptoms quite a bit. Some patients come in the next day almost like nothing happened, which is great. Other patients, if they've got some symptoms, they're a lot less than they would have been without it. Okay. So that makes a huge difference from a recovery standpoint. Remember, we need you drinking a lot of fluids. Yeah. Make sure, especially for you because you're tall. I'm also 6'2". He's laughing, mostly because he's agreeing with me. I'm 6'2" in my mind. So yeah, remember that you need to take your time when you stand up. So scoot to the edge of the bed, scoot to the edge of the chair, scoot to the edge of the couch. Okay. Give yourself a few minutes to sit because you can sit there as long as you need. Once again, you're kind of halfway standing up that way and then slowly stand up the rest of the way. Also, not super hot water because for two reasons. The first one is after liposuction, the skin a lot of times loses a little bit of sensation temporarily. Okay. And there have been some patients who burned their skin because they just don't feel the hot water. Yeah. The other thing is if it's super hot water, it creates more inflammation. Okay. So, you know, lukewarm water, you don't have to freeze yourself like it's freezing in here. But remember, you're going to leave the garment on until we see you tomorrow. So yeah, don't try to stuff stuff inside it. Don't try to take it off. No maxi pads. The foams, we'll show you how to put those in tomorrow. So a lot of times we'll have patients put them in the day after surgery. Sometimes it's 2 days after surgery, depending on how they're doing. I used to put them in surgery, and what I found was it creates a little bit too much compression. Sometimes they were shifting around, and then all the patients were complaining because they were putting out so much fluid from their incisions that the foams were destroyed, and then they needed another set of foams.
You could get more of a shelf back there by...
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't have a huge amount of fat here, so I mean, if you're really looking for projection, transfers,
I think my waist is smaller.
It's definitely going to make things look better because you've got a lot of chicho here. Okay. That being said, in you, it's not necessarily going to make you have the appearance of more projection, but you're definitely going to get more definition. Okay, almost done with this part. A couple more pictures, and then we'll picture of your spine. Yeah. See, you got an S shape, so you always have more of a curve on this side up high. That chicho's got to go, and the whole sort of bra roll axilla area has got to go as well. Yeah, that's going to make a big difference. You know, that skin never shrinks in completely, but you're not going to have any hanging skin, and you know it helps that you're 25, you're young, you've got good skin quality.
Even if there is some
yeah, You know, that's going to be very important to really attack that whole thing. You can see this is you, this is weight. You know, from being 40 pounds more, your stomach was probably out to here. So now you're way down here. But to get your stomach completely flat, you will need to lose some weight. And yeah, taking this out is going to give you more of a slope there. And we're really going to get you much more of that V shape.
Yeah.
So all that stuff's got to go. Then you can really see how you got that scoliosis here. You know, it's very common.
Wow,
I'm seeing that in people. Almost every person has got a little bit of it. And you know, the taller the person is, sometimes the more you see it because it's kind of over a longer distance. But you have that little S shape, so you always have a little bit of a difference between the sides. It's not too bad in you compared to some people.
Okay.
What other questions?
The stomach part. Are you going to, like, when you go in, will I have some of more, like, my masculine features, like,
I mean,
popping
we're not
through,
specifically doing high definition liposuction. That's not part of the plan. I mean, we can, but the good news is that when I take out the fat, you're going to have less fat layer over the muscles you've got, and as you develop your muscles, it's going to actually show more. So it's kind of the organic way to do things. What other questions?
That's really it. Thank
All
you.
right.